wote ambao waliiba pesa na umma za serikali katika Kenya hii watapanda huo mti na tutatingiza huo mti, watuambie ni kwa nini waliiba na hizo mali walitoa wapi, baadaye tutawanyonga.
Even Wajackoya knows it. He's neither going to force a runoff, neither is he actually going to get significant votes in the coming general elections. That I can tell you for sure. For various reasons that I've said. You know, he doesn't have the machinery to campaign nationally. And even if he did, it's coming too late in the day, and he doesn't have the resources, and he doesn't have an agenda. If you removed the word bang or marijuana from Wajackoya, it would be like there's no other candidate. Well, as you all know, the IEBC cleared 4 candidates to run for the presidency in Kenya. One of them is Professor George Wajackoya. The second one, George Wajackoya of Roots Party, and there is David Wadhiga of Agano Party. The other 2 guys you know very well, that is William Samoei Ruto of UDA and RAILA ODINGA of Azimio Coalition Party. As a matter of fact, the way it stands right now, we don't have an independent candidate running for president. But the person who has actually taken the limelight is none other than Professor Wajackoya, who basically has been in the media, and a lot of people have said a lot of things about him. Will this gentleman, Professor Wajackoya, cause a runoff? As you know, to be president in Kenya, one requires to have 50 plus 1% of the votes. So 51% to win the presidency. So to upset that, a certain critical number is required to be able to make or to force a kind of rerun where there's no one individual, one single candidate with 50 plus 1. You see? So is it likely that this gentleman Wajackoya can actually cause an upset? That is our question today.
Saizi bangi inavutwa. Sisi tunahalisha kwanza tupate pesa tuwalipe wa Chinese madeni yao watuondokee katika nchi hii. Lakini ikiwa kwanza wa Kenya watasema kwamba hata tunataka ivutwe kulingana na sheria, pia itakuwa ni sawa. Maana vitu nyingi zinafanywa. Mimi nataka niwe rais wa kweli. Bangi inavutwa. Uhalalishe. Usihalalishe.
Professor Wajackoya has actually been in the limelight and is a darling of the press. Both the FM stations, newspapers, social media, and even TV stations. He's been a darling of the press for one single reason. Marijuana, bangi. That is the main reason why actually lately a lot of media stations and a lot of people have been speculating and talking about Professor Wajackoya as being the third force. In our view, I really don't think that there would be such a thing as a third force. You remember? If you remember clearly, there was a time when actually Ekuru Ekot, I think it was in 2013, ran for president, and he ran under his own party, I think, called the Third Alliance. That is when a lot was said about the third force or a third force, and there was a lot of hype then about having a third force. But in this country, the only thing that people vote along tribal lines. It doesn't matter whether you are selling the bottom up, because the bottom up thing will be appealing to a certain groups, and that is tribal groups. So it's all a question of bringing tribal groups together to be able to win. So whatever they actually, rally around does not really matter. At the end of the day, the spine of it all is tribe. Who is who, which tribes are in which coalition, you see? That is the mathematics that works out around here. It's actually not possible for Wajackoya to be able to run, let alone sustain his campaign and even get a critical number of votes to force a runoff in Kenya. You see, the other factor is that if you look at Wajackoya is talking about basically the hustler narrative. You know, the reason why I say he's actually campaigning on the hustler narrative, you can even see from his dressing, you know, the people he is appealing to, you know, the message that he is putting down there, you know, and trying to be, you know, just a hustler, you see. So if there is anything, and I highly doubt that there is, the person who would have been otherwise worried about Professor Wajackoya is actually William Samoei Ruto, because he is also running on the hustler narrative and is appealing mainly to the younger voters. You know, to me, Wajackoya is just like you know, a musician or somebody where there's a lot of either hero worship or fan mail, or people who just want to know what is happening or get entertained. Wajackoya without bang or dope or marijuana would be just like David Wadhiga of the Agano Party. You know, just silent there, just having a name there and actually competing for the sake of competing. Professor Wajackoya has not come up with a campaign strategy or a program to be able to marshal the support that he requires in various parts of the country to be able to have a meaningful impact in these coming presidential elections. And I can't see it even in the next presidential election. You know, this gentleman actually, Ekuru Ekot, tried it, but he failed miserably because of his style and the fact that, you know, you can't just come up without proper machinery on the ground and actually expect to upset, you know, people who are either, you know, more or less inclined towards Raila Amolo Odinga or supporters, and those who are inclined towards William Samoei Ruto. So in the end, what is really going to happen is people will actually go round on those issues, but under the backbone of tribes. Like if you look at the majority of people who support Kenya Kwanza, they will either be from Mount Kenya or actually from, you know, let me say the Rift Valley. You know, the rest of the people too, like Raila Amolo Odinga has his support from Coast, Western, Nairobi, you know, Nyanza, now Kambani with the actually coming in of, you know, Kalonzo Musyoka, and many other regions. But if you look at it all, in as much as these people or Raila Amolo Odinga has got that national appeal, like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta would have, at the end of the day, there are tribes actually coming together so that they can actually give a shot at the presidency. An issue of a third force is very unlikely. Even when Kalonzo Musyoka was actually with Mudavadi and the rest of the people also came up with this theory of the third force, you know, but that third force still wasn't going to take shape. The shape that it would have been taken is just tribes coming together. It's just bringing in, like, if Mudavadi was there, Mudavadi bringing the Luhya community, if he can, then Kalonzo Musyoka bringing, you know, his community, and then, you know, whoever comes into that coalition would have actually just formed an association of communities. And then now those communities would actually adjust to the agenda that that particular coalition has. So Wajackoya really would not do that. He cannot force a runoff. I cannot see him sustaining his campaigns. But in this country, the glue that binds votes together is basically tribes. There's no other way that you can look at it. Because even if there are matters that those tribes agree on, or some kind of campaign agenda, you will always see that tribal formations actually come and play a big part in the number of votes that a particular candidate gets. You see, like in this particular election, I can see a lot of votes coming from Western for Raila Amolo Odinga, votes coming from Coast for Raila Amolo Odinga, votes coming from Nyanza for Raila Amolo Odinga, votes coming also from Central for Raila Amolo Odinga, and many other parts of the country that for Raila Amolo Odinga, as also votes will be coming for Ruto from Central because of that tribal arrangement, and mainly from the Rift Valley. So at the end of the day, it's all about tribes. So the backbone of votes and the glue that binds votes in Kenya is basically just tribes. But what do you think? Will Professor Wajackoya force a runoff? Is he by any measure a third force? Or is it just media hype and hero worship? Thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to Talk to Africa. My name is George.